Hello, I'm Pippa Fitch. Welcome to Teak Break. I'm here today with Elis Newham, a PhD student from the University of Southampton. I've caught him on his tea break and we're going to talk a bit about what you do. So could you just introduce your field and explain all this a little bit?
Yes, so I am a paleobiologist, so I study the evolution of animals through the fossil record. I'm specifically interested in early mammals and how they evolved, how they came to be about, which is why I'm sat here surrounded by hundreds of tiny fossil teeth, which I'm currently gluing to sticks.
So did you always work with fossil teeth? Have you always worked in paleo mammals?
It's been quite recent. I did my undergrad in geology in UCL and got into paleontology through a third year course on kind of the history of life on Earth. Got amazingly involved with it, was absolutely fascinated, and then went on to do my fourth year project on mammal evolution with a lady called Angelica Swami, who's amazing.
And what are you doing right now? What's your present PhD research on?
So I'm currently using mammal teeth to study their life histories.
Which is what all this is
Which
about.
is why we're surrounded by them. So I use CT scanning to get right into the internal structures of these teeth. And you can kind of read them like you would tree rings.
Okay, so how do the CT scans work? And you've also, I've read in some of your papers that you use synchrotron scans as well. So are those much more superior than CT scans?
So it's still a type of CT scanning.
Mm-hmm.
So CT scans are they're based on the radiographs you get when you break your arm in hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So when you break your arm, you get a 2D image of the bones in your arm. And where CT scanning is different is you take a series of these images, rotated in a series of 360 degrees angles, and then you can stitch them all together using some complex maths. And so you have a volumetric data set of the actual specimen.
So that's what you're using to look at these tiny, tiny teeth.
Mm-hmm.
I have to try and get a close-up of them.
That's good, yeah.
So how big are the teeth that you're studying, and whereabouts in the fossil record are they sitting?
So these teeth are about the size of a grain of sand. They're smaller than a millimetre in volume. And so that's why we need to go to these synchrotron sources to CT scan them, because synchrotrons generate a much more powerful X-ray, and it's a lot cleaner as well. So you can focus it in a much smaller area and get a much higher resolution.
So you've got these teeth that are smaller than a grain of sand. How does one go about finding a fossil like that? Surely they must get overlooked.
I think they do get overlooked. A lot of people find this kind of stuff really boring, but they're from lots of kind of fissures within limestone that you can find in the early Jurassic and latest Triassic, which is the teeth I'm studying at the moment. And so it was stumbled upon by a German scientist just rifling around a quarry in the 40s, and he found these series of these tiny teeth that you have to sieve out of the actual the dirt itself. Really cool, big one. So this is the tooth of an animal that lived 200 million years ago. As you can see, it's absolutely tiny and really precious. And so it's from these guys that we can find out how these animals were living, how long they lasted, when they were giving birth, which I think is really cool.
Okay, so how can you gain so much information from just looking at teeth? And have you only been using it on fossil record teeth, or have you kind of branched out a bit more?
So the PhD's taken a couple of interesting turns. All the information is already there in the teeth. As I was saying before, they grow in an incremental manner like tree rings. And so the tissue I study, cementum, has annular increments. And we found that the shape, structure and texture of these could reflect really key events in an animal's life, like pregnancy. So you can sex an animal, you can find out how long it lived, and also how sexually active it was.
Wow. So, and you haven't just been looking at the fossil records then, you've used this for other species as well?
Yeah, we've done a couple of validation studies on recently deceased monkeys, which was a bit of a grisly job.
Okay.
But this really kind of showed us that the extent of data you can get from fossils as well.
And have you ever used a human tooth?
I've unfortunately used my supervisor's tooth. It was all legal. She signed a waiver and donated a tooth to the project. But we've got some really exciting results from that.
Okay, wow. So how long do you have till you finish your PhD work now? Have you got a time scale, or is it going to be extended?
So I'm just starting my third year, which will be my final complete year of the PhD. I'm hoping to finish within the 3 years, but that's increasingly rare these days. I think most people go on to 3.5 to 4 years.
And this is quite a big, daunting question, but what do you think your results will be, and how do you think that will impact the scientific community?
So we're now going into early hominid evolution because of the exciting results we've got through the monkeys. So I hope to be able to really maximise the use of this cementum tissue as a forensic record, because the potential is really there to study this tissue in a forensic context for criminology, an archaeological context, obviously paleontological, but also zoological. I mean, it could be really big.
So now that we've spoken about your research, I want to give you 1 minute to describe your research, but this time drawing it. It doesn't have to be really artistic or anything. It can just be fun, it can be factual, it can be silly, whatever it is, it has to be done in 1 minute. So, time's on the clock. You ready?
Go. Cool, so we have a synchrotron firing an X-ray at a tooth, which shows some lines, which means a baby happened, and then that baby came me, and I've signed it at the bottom.
So we do this with all our interviewees. I'm going to ask you, what is your biggest pet peeve? And it can be anything, it doesn't have to be scientifically related. So what really pisses Elis Newham off?
I'm going to sound like such a curmudgeon.
No, you're allowed to.
But it's inefficient use of time. So I hate getting stuck in a conversation I don't want to be having in the lab when I'm meant to be working. It's not this.
Okay, this is your tea break, yeah.
But yeah, that's my biggest.
That seems a very academic kind of thing to say. So efficiency. That is efficiency. Nice. Well, thank you so much for having your tea break today. We'll let you get back to glowing teeth. And yeah, we'll keep in contact. I'd like to hear all about your results.
Thank you very much.
If you've enjoyed this tea break, if you want to know more about Elis's work or how to get involved with Tea Break, please follow the links below.